Welcome children to SB Union High School and Junior College Pune. This is Deepa Fatke. Let's continue learning remaining chapter of Standard 9th History, Chapter 4 Economic Development in this session. Let's begin with the 8th 5-year plan 1992-1997. This plan gave a big scope to the private sector. And the features of this plan are as follows. To maintain the rate in national income at 6.5% to control the growth of population, to encourage the program of family planning, to remove illiteracy by expansion of primary education. And the programs like following were also implemented during this plan. Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana, Mahila Samriddhi Yojana, राष्ट्रीय सामाजिक आर्थिक सहाय्य योजना, मिड डे मील scheme, Indira Mahila scheme, Ganga Kalyan scheme, these were also implemented. This plan is a reflection of the liberalization and free market policy adopted in 1991. So during this 8th 5-year plan, there were certain features, there were certain objectives that were also achieved. The objectives like to maintain the rate in national income at 6.5, to control the growth rate of population. It also encouraged the program of family planning. It tried to remove illiteracy by expansion of giving free and compulsory primary education. And the schemes like Pradhan Mantri Rozgar Yojana, Mahila Samriddhi Yojana, through these schemes, lots of awareness was also being brought during this time among Indians. This plan is a reflection, it truly reflects the liberalization and free market policy that was adopted in 1991. Let's learn about the 9th 5-year plan 1997 to 2002. This plan had focused on agriculture and overall rural development. And there were some objectives which were also tried to achieve from this 9th 5-year plan, like increase the growth rate in economy, create healthy competition like the infrastructure sector, give a new direction to industrial policy for ensuring foreign investment, because that was the need of the time to have lots of foreign investments, like investments from foreign countries into our own country. Then the schemes like Swarna Jayanti Sahakari Rozgar Yojana, Bhagyashri Child Welfare Policy, Raja Rajeshwari Mahila Kalyan Yojana, Swarna Jayanti Gram Swarozgar Yojana, Jawahar Gram Samruddhi Yojana, Antyodaya Anna Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana. These were also implemented during this plan. Along with these, the growth in communication system and service sector as well as in the field of construction was also achieved during this 9th 5-year plan. So lots of achievements were there during this plan according to the new economic policy. Many schemes were also implemented. Along with this, communication system was given more priority, service sector, then the field of construction was also being increased during this 9th 5-year plan. Let's learn about nationalization of banks. Banking was a monopoly of the private sector during the tenure of Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and even Lal Bahadur Shastri. The directors of these banks were working towards developing industrial sector and increasing their profits. In order to stop this, government nationalized the Imperial Bank in 1955 and got it converted into State Bank of India. This bank opened branches all over the country in a short while and played a major role in the development of Indian economy. So, why was the nationalization of banks done? Because the directors of these banks earlier, they were working towards developing industrial sector and increasing their profits. They were more interested in their own profits only. So to stop this, government decided to nationalize banks. So accordingly, it was done in 1955. Naturally, all banks were converted into the State Bank of India, and this bank opened up different branches all over the country and played a very major role in the development of Indian economy. Let's learn about the background of nationalization of banks. Nationalization of banks was essential to cover the deficit if they occurred while implementing different schemes. Also, the profits of these banks would come into the government treasury once they were nationalized. Even the policy of developing small industries and pharmaceutical industries had to be implemented. To overcome the shortage of food and drought, Lal Bahadur Shastri undertook the experiment of Green Revolution. During the tenure of the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, Congress Forum for Socialist Action, a group in the Congress party inspired by socialist ideas, made a demand for nationalization of commercial banks. So, this was the situation during or why the nationalization of banks were done, because it was essential to cover the deficits. Deficits means the amount of money that was available. It was too small, it was insufficient. So, if they occurred while implementing different schemes, nationalization of banks was important. Also, the profits of these banks would come to the government treasury, so government would be benefited with this nationalization. The policy of developing small industries, for pharmaceutical industries, were also implemented during the same time. So, Green Revolution, then developing small industries, nationalization of banks were really essential at that point of time. So, Congress party during the reign of Indira Gandhi, Congress Forum for Socialist Action, this group in the Congress party inspired by social ideas, made this demand for nationalization of commercial banks. Do you know about it, children? Prime Minister Indira Gandhi nationalized 14 banks on 19 July 1969. These include Allahabad Bank, Bank of Baroda, Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra, Canara Bank, Central Bank of India, Dena Bank, Indian Bank, Indian Overseas Bank, Punjab National Bank, Syndicate Bank, United Bank of India, United Commercial Bank, UCO Bank, Union Bank of India. In 1980, 6 more banks were nationalized. Prime Minister Indira Gandhi announced the 20-point program, and it was announced on 1st July 1975. And finally, the nation resolved to make efforts to be rapidly becoming a developed nation. The main provisions of this 20-point program are as follows: land ceiling for cities and agricultural land, equal division of wealth, minimum wages for workers, increase in water conservation schemes. Second, workers' participation in industry, national training scheme, freeing bonded labor, prevention of tax evasion, economic crimes and smuggling. There were many others. So, what about land ceiling for cities and agricultural land? Means equal land distribution or equal division of wealth and land. Second, at least minimum wages to be given to the workers, increase in water conservation schemes, that was the need of the time. Then workers' participation increasing or to be increased, national training schemes and freeing bonded labor, prevention from tax evasion and economic crimes and smuggling. These were some of the important programs. Then we are going to continue learning remaining ones. Regulation of prices of basic necessities, improvement in the public distribution system, improvement in the textile industry by developing handloom sector, waiving loans for weaker sections, housing and communication facilities, making educational equipment available to schools. So these are some of the important programs of 20-point program. So regulation of prices, because it was needed to settle down the prices of basic necessary things. Then improvements in the public distribution system, to improve the textile industry by improving handloom sector, waiving loans to be given to the weaker sections of the society, housing loans, then communication facilities to be provided to the people, making educational equipment available to all schools. These were necessary things that were decided in this 20-point program. Let's study about the issues of workers. The first textile mill was started by Kawasji Dawar in Mumbai on 11th July 1851. Then eventually mills started in Dadar, Parar, Bhaikhala, Shivdi, Prabhadevi and Varadi. Later this part came to be known as Girgaon or Town of Mills. In 1980s, some industries gave more wages, wherein some mills low wages were given. Obviously, there was unrest among workers. In 1981, workers expected getting 20% bonus during Diwali. The Rashtriya Mill Mazdoor Sangh, which was negotiating with employers, agreed from 8 to 17% bonus without taking the workers' consent. Some workers went to Dr. Datta Samant and asked him to lead them, so he led the strike along with 65 workers. On 18 January 1982, 2.5 lakh workers went on a strike. So the first mill was started in 1851, and then eventually slowly other places also these factories were started like Bhaikala, Shivdi, Parar, Dadar, Prabhadevi and Varari. So obviously this whole area came to be known as Town of Mills, which was Girgaon. Then in 1980s, some industries were giving more wages, some were giving less wages. Obviously there was unrest among the workers regarding their salaries. Then in 1981, workers expected up to 20% bonus for Diwali celebration. The Rashtriya Mill Mazdoor Sangh, which was negotiating with employers, agreed from 8% to 17% bonus without asking the workers about it. Obviously, all the workers they went to Dr. Datta Samant and they asked him to accept their leadership. He also accepted it, and 65 workers, almost workers of 65 mills, came together and they went on a strike. As a result, which was the town of factories and industries and mills, Girgaon. Girgaon mills stopped working as if the heart of Mumbai had stopped throbbing. The Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Barrister A.R. Antule, set up a committee to resolve this issue. Later, Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Baba Saheb Bhosle, talked to Dr. Datta Samant, but he demanded that the law be revoked. And as the strike dragged on, it continued for more than 6 months. The workers started a jail bharo agitation. Then in 1982, 1.5 lakh workers took a march on Legislative Assembly of Maharashtra state. So somehow this problem was not negotiated from the government side, neither from the workers side, and it continued. Obviously, even the workers led a march on Legislative Assembly of Maharashtra state. Still, the problem did not get solved. In this period, almost 1.5 lakh workers became jobless, and the situation became more severe. Later, the mills moved from Mumbai to Surat after polyester came into market. The central government nationalized 13 textile mills, and appointments of arbitrators did not help to resolve this issue. So this issue continued.